Everybody, it's me, your buddy Dave, the host of the Dark Stuff channel here on YouTube. Thanks a lot for checking out my latest video. In this week's video, we're going to be celebrating the 40th birthday of this guy, The Replacements' Let It Be, one of the greatest albums in the history of music. Folks, October 2nd, 1984 was the day this bad boy hit the world. The Replacements' third full-length album, fourth total release if you count the EP, called Stink, that came out in 1982. This was their 1984 record. It was preceded by the single, I Will Dare, which took college radio by storm. So I was only 13 years old when this album came out. I didn't get into this particular record for a couple of years, but I can remember vividly when I first heard it, because it was a moment that not only changed my musical taste, but it really changed the course of my life. Okay, first I got two different versions. This is from the Twin Tone Years box set, and then this was my OG. They're very, very similar, except for one has a little mention of Rhino on it, the one from the box set. That's it. Also have the expanded edition CD, which has 6 bonus tracks on it. It must have been early 1987, and I had just gotten my driver's license. I was 16, and I drove over to Homer's Records to buy something, probably like the Scorpions or Dokken or Poison or somebody like that, because I was a metalhead at that time. My favorite band was Kiss, and I remember walking into Homer's Records and hearing something over the PA, and it was a band covering Black Diamond by Kiss. That band was The Replacements. Immediately I'm like, what? You know, and I'm listening to it and I'm like, oh, this sounds great. That happens to be the end of side 1, and then they flipped it over, but by the time they got to side 2, okay, I had already had it in my hands and I was going to buy this record. Whatever I had planned to get, Dokken, Scorpions, Bullet Boys, whatever it was I was intending to get, I passed on and I got The Replacements instead. I bought my first copy of Let It Be. I bought many of these, by the way. Whenever I get rid of one, I always donate it to somebody to turn them on to that album. That's been my ongoing project since probably 1990 or so. I don't know. I took the record home and put it on, and due to me being a metalhead at the time, it did almost nothing for me. I mean, I really didn't like the record until Black Diamond came on again. Then it was like, oh, that's cool. But I thought nothing of the rest of the record, and it sort of sat on my shelf for a little while, and every now and again I would try and bring it up again and play it some more, and eventually songs started catching on. So eventually it was, We're Coming Out because that's pretty heavy, or Favorite Thing, or Senior Video, or Gary's Got a Bone, or whatever it was. Songs started connecting with me, and then I started really, really liking the band and eventually becoming obsessed with the album. Pleased to Meet Me came out later on in that year, and that was the first Replacements record I bought as a new release. I still had to get this, Tim and all of the other stuff, which I would be getting over the course of the next year. So what I realized was I liked some of the aggression in some of the songs, but I also liked some of the intellect, some of the thoughtfulness of some of these songs, things that made me not just want to, not just songs about partying and chicks and stuff, which that's fine. I like partying, I like chicks, but I also like hearing about other things in addition, and other emotions besides getting a boner. Although they do reference that in Gary's Got a Boner on this album, by the way. So if I seem all over the place, it's because I'm not working from notes. I'm just trying to convey my feelings on this record. I have listened to this probably 1,000 times over the years. Like I said, I have the CD, I've got the different vinyls, I listen to it digitally, streaming, whatever, all sorts of ways. The songs on this are so great. I mean, I Will Dare, the definitive college rock track of all time, bar none. I don't care what else you say. It's a pinch REM-ish, I get, but I know Westerberg would hate me for saying that. But Peter Buck does play on it, and that adds to that, but it's not necessarily the reason why. Of course, Favorite Thing, fantastic rocker. We're Coming Out, one of the last vestiges of the hardcore element of the Replacements. But what makes that song unique is it's super fast and aggressive and great, but then it slows down and has that piano part where he's like, one more chance to get it all wrong. I mean, a hardcore band would never be that inventive musically or anything. So that's why that song is so great. Androgynous, a song that sounds like it should be written in 2024. In fact, it's still performed by Joan Jett to this day. But It is a very, very forward-thinking song that made a lot of people think back at that time. Black Diamond, of course, the Kiss cover, Unsatisfied, one of the most heart-wrenching, just tug at your heartstrings kind of song, Unsatisfied. So just a beautiful tune. Senior Video, great tune, mocking the idea of MTV and the music video and all of that stuff. They eventually had to succumb to it because there was no way to survive without it, but it was a valiant effort while they made it. Gary's Got a Boner, of course, the ultimate sort of joke song from the band. 16 Blue, a song where Paul kind of can see inside the emotions of his bandmate Tommy Stinson and to see what it was like when he was 16 and all of the trials and tribulations that are going on when you're a teenager. And yet he was in his mid-20s by that point, Westerberg was. But it showed how he could get inside the mind, and he had this real sensitivity to people who were sort of struggling, and you were able to hear that in a song like 16 Blue. Answering Machine is just the ultimate. I love the studio version. I do like when they play it later with rock, but like that, just that sentiment. How can you say goodnight to an answering machine? How can you say you're sorry to an answering machine? It's like you just call somebody and you just can't reach them, and that sort of feeling of just despair that you can't reach this person. Now, that was 1983 or whatever when he wrote it. It was a lot harder to get in touch with people. Now maybe he could just text his feelings. I don't know. It's just a side note. So the bonus tracks on the CD version, the expanded, do have 20th Century Boy, the T-Rex cover, Perfectly Lethal, a great outtake, Temptation Eyes cover song, Answering Machine, this is a home demo, that's a nice version of it, Heartbeat, It's a Love Beat, another cover song, and then an alternate version of 16 Blue. So worth getting, not a ton of bonus stuff, and maybe that's why there's not the box set. I mean, I don't know. I don't know that they had a lot of great professionally sounding live recordings to add on there either, but I'll leave that shit up to Bob Mayer. He can make those determinations. I do think Rhino should have had it ready for this 40th anniversary. You're slipping, guys, you're slipping. You know, in a lot of ways, this album, Let It Be, was the end of the Replacements, okay? If you read the Replacements Bible, Trouble Boys, you'll find out that by the time they made Tim, which was the next record after this, Bob Stinson was still in the lineup, but he barely participated. He only showed up once or twice in the studio sessions, and he really did not want to be in the band anymore, and they ultimately, did fire him at the end of the Tim tour. But at this point, that was not a consideration. The band was still very much together. This was the final, maybe, Replacements record of their four-piece lineup with Bob, and maybe that's why, from a sentimental perspective, it's so great. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I'm just rambling. You know what? It's the 40th birthday. Happy birthday to Let It Be. And congrats to Paul and to Tommy and to Chris Mars and to the late Bob Stinson if you're seeing this from up in wherever you are. You know what? Put on the record if you have it. If you have streaming, stream it. Listen to it on YouTube, whatever. Do yourself a favor. Play Let It Be today. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
So, you have a MySpace page or something?